Although Kirk Frost and Rasheeda have had their fair share of ups and downs, none anybody saw this approaching. A startling event has set supporters into a frenzy, and internet conjecture is ablaze. According to witnesses, Kirk lost all control and launched a horrific attack that shook Rasheeda. With people close to the couple exposing upsetting information, what began as a furious dispute swiftly descended into something considerably more serious. Reactions abound on social media, and everyone is yearning explanations. This time, did Kirk truly go too far? How did this explosive moment start? And most importantly, how is Rasheeda holding up after this ordeal? Fans are split, some supporting Kirk while others want severe penalties. The couple's past has been turbulent, but this incident might well change everything. As we untangle the whole narrative, what happened behind closed doors, how their closest friends and relatives are responding, what this could mean for Kirk and Rasheeda's future. Stay tuned. Grab your popcorn because this is one scandal that's too wild to ignore. For Kirk Frost and Rasheeda, it all began as another evening. Nevertheless, nobody could have foreseen how rapidly things would spiral out of hand. Witnesses indicate that the pair had been experiencing troubles behind closed doors for weeks. But this time, things took a dark and unexpected turn. Sources close to the couple say that tensions had been building for a time, and on this specific night, it all came to a boiling point. The dispute started over something fairly small, one of those ordinary arguments that couples have, but it escalated swiftly, turning into a full-blown war of words. Rasheeda, usually known for keeping her cool, sought to ease the issue at first. She didn't want things to go out of hand, especially since they were in public. But Kirk? He wasn't having it. His irritation had been boiling beneath the surface for too long, and now it was all bursting out. Eyewitnesses said he was walking back and forth, his voice rising louder with every syllable. Rasheeda, recognizing that things were moving in a terrible path, tried to walk away, but Kirk wasn't done. He blocked her path, his expression filled with wrath as he started his tirade. By this point, people surrounding them had started to notice. Some brought out their phones, documenting the intense discussion, while others muttered in low tones, startled at what they were witnessing. This wasn't simply a usual dispute between a married couple. This was something different. The air was thick with tension, and the expression in Kirk's eyes sent chills down the spines of those watching. Then it occurred. In a moment of sheer wrath, Kirk lashed out. The exact circumstances of what happened next are still being contested, but one thing is clear: Rasheeda was left in shock. A gasp spread through the throng as individuals sought to grasp what they had just seen. Rasheeda fell back, her face a mix of disbelief and hurt. Never in a million years did she expect Kirk would truly cross the line like this. He had always been irresponsible, always been the type to let his emotions get the best of him. But this was different. This was personal. This was something she knew they could never get back from. Someone in the audience instantly screamed out, "Yo, Kirk, what the hell, man?" Others rushed forward, some to comfort Rasheeda, others to confront Kirk. But by then, the harm was done. The cameras were rolling, and within minutes, the film started making rounds on social media. It didn't take long for hashtags like #ProtectRasheeda and #KirkFrostExposed to start trending. People were horrified, disgusted, and called for Kirk to be held accountable. Back at the scene, Rasheeda was still trying to digest everything. Her hands were shaking as she reached for her phone, her breath coming in short, uneven gasps. She needed to get out of there, needed to find a way to escape the mayhem surrounding her. But Kirk? He was still standing there, looking at her, his expression unclear. For a single second, it almost seemed like he regretted what he had done, like he wanted to take it all back. But then, almost as swiftly, that moment gone. His jaw tightened, and without more word, he turned and walked off, disappearing into the night. The problem was far from over, though. Rasheeda's closest pals had already been alerted, and they weren't going to let this slide. Scrappy, one of Kirk's longtime pals, was one of the first to hear about what happened, and he spent no time in calling Kirk personally. The conversation was tight, hostile, and filled with expletives. "What the hell is wrong with you, man? You actually lost your friggin' mind?" Scrappy's voice was filled with disbelief and anger. But Kirk? He wasn't in the mood to discuss. He scarcely even heeded Scrappy's words before hanging up. Meanwhile, back at home, Rasheeda was breaking down. She had isolated herself in her bedroom, away from the outer world, attempting to make sense of what had just transpired. The messages were pouring in, her phone vibrating incessantly with texts from friends, family, and fans alike. Some were offering assistance, others were seeking answers. And then there were the media outlets, already running with the story, already casting Kirk as the villain. But was there more to the story? Some insiders reported that Kirk had been under a lot of pressure lately, coping with financial issues, personal struggles, and a rising sense of anger. Had all of that finally driven him over the edge? Or was this just who he had become, a man who allowed his rage overwhelm him to the point of no return? As Rasheeda sat there, staring at the headlines, she understood something. This wasn't just about one night. This was about everything. The years of treachery, the many times she had forgiven him, the way she had always been expected to hold things together while he did whatever he wanted. And now, it had come to this, a public humiliation, a moment she would never be able to forget. But the fundamental question remained, what was she going to do next? Would she eventually go away for good? Would she press charges? Or would Kirk somehow find a way to spin this, to make it sound like it wasn't as horrible as others were making it out to be? The world was watching, waiting for her next move. And little did she know, the storm was only just beginning. As the night wore on, the chaos surrounding Kirk and Rasheeda's startling incident only increased. Social media had already exploded with emotions, and news outlets wasted no time picking up the story. By midnight, practically every major gossip blog had reported about it, each one adding new dimensions to the controversy. Fans flooded Rasheeda's Instagram with words of support, while Kirk's comment area transformed into a battleground of wrath. But while the world wondered, Rasheeda was in no shape to answer. She had locked herself off from everyone, retiring into her bedroom, attempting to digest what had just transpired. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing, calls from friends, texts from her team, even messages from people she hadn't spoken to in years. But she couldn't bring herself to react. The reality of what had happened was too much to stomach. Meanwhile, Kirk had vanished. After storming off, he had gone utterly silent, avoiding all calls and refusing to speak to anyone. Even his closest pals had no idea where he was. Some thought that he had shut himself up in a hotel someplace, attempting to avoid the criticism. Others said he was planning, figuring out how to spin the problem before it became any worse. Whatever the case, his silence simply made things worse. And then, as if the drama wasn't already at its climax, a fresh twist appeared. An unnamed person, someone claiming to be close to Kirk, contacted out to a big gossip blog with stunning charges. According to them, this wasn't the first time Kirk had lost control like this. It was only the first time it had been caught on camera. The source stated that there had been many incidents in the past, instances where Kirk's temper had flashed in secret, away from the public spotlight. They stated that Rasheeda had covered for him several times, making excuses, pushing things under the rug to protect their image. The discovery sent shockwaves through the internet. Fans were already furious, but this changed everything. Suddenly, people weren't just condemning Kirk for one incident. They were questioning everything about their relationship. Had Rasheeda been suffering in quiet all this time? Was Kirk more dangerous than everyone realized? The speculation grew wilder by the minute. Old clips from Love and Hip Hop resurfaced, instances where Kirk had raised his voice at Rasheeda, scenes where she seemed visibly uncomfortable. People studied every old disagreement, every tense conversation, looking for evidence that this had been building up for years. Some supporters even started a campaign asking that Rasheeda leave Kirk for good, using the hashtag #ForRasheeda. But while the internet was busy fitting the pieces together, Rasheeda was still attempting to figure out what to do next. She had spent years supporting Kirk, standing by him even when he had humiliated her in the past. The infidelity scandals, the betrayals, the relentless disrespect, she had forgiven it all. But this was different. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was something she couldn't just sweep under the rug. Her dearest friend, Candy Burris, was one of the first to approach her. Candy had always been protective of Rasheeda, always the one to deliver her the hard things. And this time was no different. "Rasheeda, listen to me," Candy urged, her voice steely. "You can't let this slide. This ain't just about you and Kirk anymore. The whole world is watching." Rasheeda sighed, rubbing her temples. "I know, Candy. But you don't comprehend. If I go public, if I say something, it's over. Everything we built, everything we worked for, it's gone." Candy shook her head. "Girl, it was gone the second he put his hands on you." That sentence hit Rasheeda like a ton of bricks. For years, she had convinced herself that as long as she could hold everything together, as long as she kept the drama behind closed doors, they would be okay. But now, there was no more hiding. The world already knew. And she had a choice to make. Meanwhile, Kirk was still in hiding, but that didn't stop people from trying to track him out. Reports started spreading that he had been photographed at a bar in Atlanta, drinking heavily and behaving like nothing had happened. Some even claimed he had been seen with another woman, which only stoked the fire even more. Was he truly so unbothered? Did he not care about the damage he had caused? Then, just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, a leaked voicemail appeared. Someone had managed to retrieve a voice message that Kirk had purportedly delivered to a buddy shortly after the incident. In the recording, he sounded irritated, angry, but not with himself. No, he was blaming Rasheeda. "Man, she pushed me to this." Kirk's voice could be heard saying, "She knows how to get under my skin. And now she's behaving like the victim." "Nah, I'm not about to let that happen." The reaction was immediate. People were upset. Instead of taking responsibility, Kirk was trying to position himself as the genuine victim. The outcry was quick and nasty. Even celebrities started speaking out, calling him out for his behavior. Tamar Braxton tweeted, "Ain't no excuse for what Kirk did. None. Rasheeda deserves better." Others followed suit, with stars from Love and Hip Hop and beyond weighing in. But as the outrage rose, Rasheeda kept mute. She knew that whatever she said next would determine everything. If she came out against Kirk, their marriage was finished for good. But if she stayed silent, people would assume she was shielding him, and she couldn't allow that happen. By the next morning, she made her decision. She pulled up her phone, took a deep breath, and tapped Go Live on Instagram. The instant her face showed on the screen, thousands of people streamed in, waiting to hear what she had to say. Her hands were trembling slightly, but her voice was calm. "I know you'll have a lot of questions," she continued, her eyes streaming with emotion. "And I wish I could tell you that everything you've heard is a lie. But it's not. Kirk, he crossed the boundary, and I can't pretend like that didn't happen." The chat exploded with messages of support, but Rasheeda wasn't done. She took a big breath, gathered her thoughts. "For years, I've stood by this man. I've defended him. I've forgiven him. I've tried to see the good in him. But this was different. And I don't know what happens next, but I do know one thing. I'm done defending someone who wouldn't do the same for me." With that, she ended the live. And just like that, the internet shattered all over again. The moment Rasheeda stopped her Instagram live, the internet flew into a total frenzy. Within minutes, her heartfelt plea was reposted across every major site, and clips of her shaking voice swamped TikTok and Twitter. The hashtag West End with Rasheeda began trending almost instantaneously, with fans and fellow celebrities offering their support. For the first time in her career, Rasheeda wasn't just a reality TV star caught in another scandal. She was suddenly the face of resiliency. Fans praised her fortitude for finally speaking out, but at the same time, They were apprehensive about what would come next. Would she file for divorce? Would Kirk respond? And most importantly, would she be safe? Meanwhile, Kirk was still nowhere to be located. His Instagram was utterly silent. No stories, no posts, nothing. This was rare for him. Normally, anytime scandal occurred, he would be quick to fire back, publish cryptic remarks, or try to spin the narrative in his favor. But this time, his quiet was deafening. However, that silence didn't last long. Hours after Rasheeda's live, an exclusive report leaked from a well-known gossip blog. According to those close to Kirk, he was unhappy at how Rasheeda had handled things. Instead of apologizing or taking responsibilities, Kirk was apparently telling his pals that she had exaggerated everything to make him appear bad. He was also stating that she was playing the victim because she knew the public would side with her. The arrogance of these claims made fans further furious. People started digging out every past scandal Kirk had been engaged in, from his years of infidelity to the infamous moment he surreptitiously took a DNA test on his son behind Rasheeda's back. One particular tape from Love and Hip Hop resurfaced when Kirk had encouraged Rasheeda to undergo an abortion while she was pregnant. The internet cited that as proof that Kirk had never truly respected her. Memes, TikToks, and threads exposing Kirk's poisonous conduct inundated social media, and supporters were asking that Rasheeda cut him off totally. But then, another shocking twist hit the internet. A security camera video leaked online, allegedly shot from the night of the brawl. The blurry footage, shared anonymously to a celebrity gossip portal, appears to show Kirk and Rasheeda arguing outside a restaurant. In the clip, Kirk could be seen gripping Rasheeda's arm aggressively as she struggled to get away. Moments later, he raised his hand as if he was about to punch her, but the camera went off right before it could determine whether he actually made contact. The clip went viral quickly. Fans were furious, demanding Kirk be canceled permanently. Some even started pushing for legal action, claiming Rasheeda should file a restraining order against him. But although the world was enraged, Kirk was still hiding, until, ultimately, he broke his silence. In a badly recorded, low-quality Instagram video, Kirk denied everything. Looking noticeably concerned, he addressed the problem, saying, "I know you've been hearing a lot of weird stuff about me, but let me put the record straight. First off, I adore my wife. I would never lay my hands on Rasheeda like that." People taking video out of context, twisting the tale, and attempting to drag a black man down. I made mistakes, certainly. But this is not what y'all think it is. Kirk then sought to defend himself, stating the dispute was blown out of proportion and that Rasheeda was emotional when she went on live. He stated the surveillance footage was deceiving and that they were trying to turn him into the villain, but no one was buying it. Fans filled the comments, labeling him a liar, a manipulator, and a narcissist. Even celebrities weren't holding back. Tokyo Vanity commented, "Ain't no out of context, you got busted. Take blame like an adult guy." Masika Kalisha wrote, "Typical. Gaslighting 101. We're not falling for it." Even Tamar Braxton, who had already spoken out, went live on Instagram to call Kirk out again. "It's the audacity for me. You really gone sit up here and act like the whole world didn't witness you grab that woman? Boy, bye." At this point, the harm was done. Kirk's reputation was completely shattered. His attempt at damage control had just made matters worse. Meanwhile, Rasheeda was still attempting to figure out her next step. Behind the scenes, she was dealing with more than just public pressure. She was getting calls from producers, wondering whether she was willing to discuss the subject on Love and Hip Hop. The network understood this issue was ratings gold, and they intended to capitalize on it. But for the first time in a long time, Rasheeda wasn't sure if she wanted to do that. This wasn't just reality TV drama anymore. This was her real life, and it was breaking apart in front of the world. Her friends and relatives were likewise divided. Some, like Candy Burris, were urging her to leave Kirk for good. Others, including some of their mutual acquaintances, were advising her to think carefully before making any huge decisions. The main concern on everyone's mind was, would Rasheeda eventually leave Kirk? And then another bombshell dropped. A disturbing court document surfaced online, apparently proving that Rasheeda had previously consulted a divorce lawyer just days before the incident transpired. If this was accurate, it suggested that their marriage was already in serious peril before this public implosion. Fans instantly suspected that Kirk had discovered out about Rasheeda's plan to leave him, and that's what caused the altercation. Some fans speculated that Kirk had lashed out because he realized he was losing control over Rasheeda. Others wondered if this was Rasheeda's final breaking point. Had she been plotting her escape all along? But as the internet debated, Rasheeda still hadn't verified or denied anything. She was keeping her next move a complete mystery. All everybody knew was that something enormous was going to happen. Would she finally end things for good? Or would Kirk somehow find a way to trip her into staying? The world was waiting for her answer, and it was only a matter of time before she gave it. But while social media was caught up in gossip, Rasheeda was making steps in silence. For the next 3 days, she went entirely off the grid. No posts, no Instagram lives, no cryptic tweets. Nothing. Fans excitedly waited for her to break her silence, but she stayed quiet. Meanwhile, Kirk was likewise staying low, fearing any further reaction, but the harm had already been done. Brands that had collaborated with him started distancing themselves. A major endorsement arrangement with the men's fashion brand quietly disappeared from his bio. Even the management of the Frost Bistro, the restaurant he and Rasheeda owned together, erased his name from promotional materials. At this point, Kirk was losing everything: his reputation, his business, and potentially even his marriage. And then the final bombshell dropped. A new rumor arose from a trusted industry insider, indicating that VH1 management were considering completely breaking relations with Kirk. The network was reportedly unhappy over the negative publicity he was bringing to love and hip-hop. According to the insider, producers had been scrambling to figure out what to do with Kirk's plot. While drama always fueled reality TV, charges of violence represented a different level of outrage. The network does not want to be identified with that kind of scandal. At first, there were suggestions of suspending him from future episodes, but as the outcry grew stronger, it became evident that Kirk's tenure on the program might be over for good. But the biggest shock? The same source said that Rasheeda was being offered a standalone spin-off show, one that would focus on her life post-Kirk, her enterprises, and her path as a single woman navigating the entertainment industry. Fans went wild at the idea. They were already screaming for Kirk to be fired, and the possibility of Rasheeda succeeding without him made the issue even juicier. But before any of this could be proved, Rasheeda suddenly broke her silence, and the world stopped to listen. She returned to Instagram with a single post, a black and white snapshot of herself standing alone in front of a mirror. Her caption? New beginnings. That was all she wrote, yet that was all it required. The internet erupted. The post raked up millions of likes in hours, with fans and celebrities flooding the comments with words of encouragement. Sierra commented, "You got this, sis. Walk in your power." Gabrielle Union wrote, "Proud of you. Keep shining." Even Cardi B, who had been a longtime fan of Rasheeda, left a comment. "About time. We've been waiting for you to boss up. Love you, queen." It was clear the world was on Rasheeda's side. But then came the most surprising move of all. Later that evening, an actual court document leaked online, showing that Rasheeda had legally filed for divorce from Kirk Frost. This wasn't simply a rumor anymore. This was real. The statement stated that she had filed days after the confrontation, alleging irreconcilable differences and a pattern of emotional and physical distress in the marriage. The petition also disclosed that she was seeking sole ownership of their enterprises and full control over their shared assets. In other words, Rasheeda wasn't just abandoning Kirk. She was bringing everything with her. Fans rejoiced. For years, people had encouraged Rasheeda to walk away from Kirk, and now she was finally doing it. But what about Kirk? How would he respond to this ultimate betrayal? It didn't take long to find out. Just hours after the divorce paperwork was released, Kirk went live on Instagram, looking angry, agitated, and desperate. Man, y'all really think I'm the evil guy, huh? Y'all honestly think I deserve all this? After everything I've done for her? After everything we made together? I made mistakes, certainly, but this is cold. He then begged Rasheeda to reconsider, saying, "You really gone toss away all we had? Over what? Some internet nonsense? We meant to be stronger than this, man." But no one was buying it. In the comments, fans dragged him viciously, ripping him out for playing the victim. One person wrote, "Not Kirk attempting to gaslight us after years of disrespect." Boing bae. Another commented, "Now they wanna cry. Where was this energy while he was cheating?" But arguably the most nasty answer came from Rasheeda herself. Shortly after Kirk's live concluded, she posted a video on her Instagram story of her sitting in a car, happy, listening to Beyonce's Irreplaceable. The message was loud and clear. She was done. At this moment, Kirk was finished. His attempts at damage control had only made things worse, and now he was left with nothing but regrets. Meanwhile, Rasheeda was thriving. She started making solo appearances at business gatherings, looking happier and more confident than ever. She even provided an exclusive interview to a prominent entertainment magazine where she spoke openly about her decision to leave Kirk. "I stayed for a long time because I believed in love, but at some point you have to believe in yourself more." That comment instantly went viral, becoming a powerful statement for women in unhealthy situations. But as the world was celebrating Rasheeda's new chapter, one final twist was still waiting to unfold. Just when everyone thought the drama was finished, a mysterious woman stepped forward, claiming to be Kirk's secret side girlfriend for the past 2 years. In an exclusive interview, she spilled all the tea, describing how Kirk had been sneaking around behind Rasheeda's back, even while claiming to be a committed husband. "He told me he was gonna leave her, that he was just waiting for the proper time. But now that she left him first, he's acting like the victim." Please, this unexpected revelation was the final nail in Kirk's coffin. The world formally canceled him, and his reputation was entirely shattered. As for Rasheeda, she was blossoming. She finished her divorce, secured her businesses, and was now living her best life, without Kirk weighing her down. Her metamorphosis from a lady stuck in a bad marriage to an independent powerhouse became an inspiration to millions. And with rumors circling about her upcoming reality TV program, one thing was clear: this was just the beginning of Rasheeda's next chapter. But what do you think? Did Rasheeda make the right choice by leaving Kirk? Do you trust Kirk's side of the tale, or is he just attempting to save face? Drop your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive updates on all the greatest celebrity drama. And there you have it, one of the most startling scandals to ever hit the love and hip-hop world. Kirk Frost's collapse is unfolding before our